I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. A Democrat is going to be elected in 2028. You know that. I know that. And they're going to recommend that the number of Supreme Court justices go from 9 to 13. That's going to happen, people. That's going to happen to you. They're going to win, and I would bet a lot of money that that's what's going to happen.
Ooga booga, oogala boogala. Welcome to the third world. James Carville, the raging mental Cajun, promising that they're going to pack the Supreme Court. Barack Obama saying statehood for D.C., statehood for Puerto Rico. They are going to kill the filibuster and give the bums rush to all the radical left-wing fantasies as the 21st century sees humanity circling the drain because the left has the American public by the throat. Aren't they amazing? And a very, very good Friday to all of us. A republic, if you can keep it. The Democrat Party is a bigger threat to the United States than radical Islam ever could be. But they're electing radical Islamists like Zohran Mamdani to become the mayor of New York City. Not on our side. Politico has a story today. Going back and forth with my friend Tim and Politico with their headline, Vance, meaning J.D. Vance. Vance is the front runner for 2028, Rubio privately confides. Well, he is the vice president rather than we don't normally think of the Secretary of State as being the natural front runner, even when he's a former senator and all that. But J.D. Vance, former senator, now vice president, and he's very, very good on his feet. I never liked the term talented politician. Never liked that term. But if the term applies anywhere, it certainly applies to J.D. Vance. President Donald Trump has repeatedly named Vance and Rubio as his two most likely successors. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is privately telling confidants that J.D. Vance is the frontrunner for the 2028 Republican nomination. But wait, I thought President Trump's going to run again, and because Steve Bannon had a secret plan, and he's going to, but never mind that. For the Republican nomination, and that he'd support the vice president if he chooses to run, Marco Rubio said. According to two people close to the administration, Rubio's private comments are a vivid example of how some Republicans are already gaming out a post-Trump succession battle. Why is it always a battle? It's not a battle. It's a civil conversation. We're not lefties. We're not shooting people. We're not firebombing the Jews. We're not rioting. We're not looting and plundering. We're not you guys. But never mind that. Rubio's private comments, vivid example of how some Republicans are already gaming out a post-Trump succession battle less than 1 year into the president's term. Marco has been very clear that J.D. is going to be the Republican nominee if he wants to be, said one person close to the secretary, noting that Rubio has expressed that sentiment privately and publicly. He will do anything he can to just support the vice president in that effort, said one person close to Rubio. Everybody's anonymous. You can make it up like school children if you want, and nobody trusts the news media, so they might as well make it up, and they very often do. Rubio, then, and listen to this, according to one person, who was granted anonymity to share the Secretary of State's private conversation. Everybody's anonymous. There's, honestly, anything that's anonymous, you should just tell them to, I don't want to use any expletives, so I'll just keep going. But that's what Politico is reporting today, that Marco Rubio, and naturally that would be the case because he's the vice president of the United States. I mean, for God's sake, the Obama people made Joe Biden their successor, and then the Biden people made Kamala Harris their successor. They were both vice presidents and gigantic losers, huge, fantastical losers, just extraordinary clown cars of loserdom. Isn't that amazing? Yes, it is. No doubt about it. This is because one of our brilliant, let's go to number 9. Number 9. One of our brilliant callers called in, and it was Marco, said, let's call this the Obamacare shutdown. The Schumer shutdown, the Democrat Party shutdown, the record-breaking 38 days now shutdown, the Democrats voting to shut the government down 14 or 15 times, depending on whether you want to score the House of Representatives, where they all voted to shut the government down before it even moved over to the Senate. Then the Democrats realized, hey, we've got leverage. We're going to leverage this. We're going to torture the world and steal everything we can at gunpoint by shutting down the government. And it's the Obamacare shutdown because they want another $1.5 trillion to throw at Obamacare to get people hooked on government everything, government health care. And, when the government gives you health care, the government takes away health care. And that's what the Democrats really want, is the power over you and your wife and your children and your mother, so they can kill everybody. That's the left. The left is here, and we are Ukraine. They are the Soviet Union, and we are Ukraine. That's what's happening in the United States of America. Now, Barack Obama, he ginned up this communist health care scheme and was proud to call it Obamacare. They called it the Affordable Care Act. It made everything 4 times as expensive, and then they called it affordable. My personal monthlies for my Blue Cross Blue Shield went from $320 or $330 a month to $1,300 a month. Thanks, Obama, communist. My Best Girls health care, Blue Cross Blue Shield, went from $230 a month to more than $1,200 a month. So we went from less than $600 a month for 2 premiums for 2 different Blue Cross Blue Shield, to $1,600 a month for the same health care. And Obama smiled, and Democrats patted him on the back and said, this is great. It's the Affordable Care Act. Yeah, and the Hitler regime was the We Love Jewish People Act, the biggest lie in the world. But let's keep in mind that this Obamacare shutdown, the Obamacare bailout, where they just want to add another $1 trillion or $1.5 trillion to the national debt to bail out Obama. I thought Netflix had already done that, but never mind that, and whoever his publishing house was. But remember Barack Obama, the lies are so big and so ubiquitous that Barack Obama told us again and again and again, the big lie: if you like your health care plan, you can keep your health plan. If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. It was all a lie.
If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor under the reform proposals that we put forward. If you like your private health insurance plan, you can keep it.
If you like the plan you have, you can keep it. If you like the doctor you have, you can keep your doctor too.
We will keep this promise.
It's going to cost 4 times as much
to the American people. If you like your doctor,
affordable care,
you will be able to keep your doctor. Period. If you like your health care plan, you will be able to keep your health care plan. Period. If you like your doctor, you'll be able to keep your doctor. If you like your health care plan, you'll be able to keep your health care plan. If you've got health insurance, you like your doctor, you like your plan, you can keep your doctor, you can keep your plan. If you like your plan, you can keep your plan. If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor.
Now, my regular doctor, my general practitioner, I don't have him anymore because he fled the industry and retired. He quit. He left, along with I actually know a number of doctors that have left the business of medicine, and they'll tell you, well, the business is not what it used to be. The profession is not what it used to be because Obamacare burned everything to the ground like it was a Jewish governor's mansion. And the Democrats did that knowingly and on purpose. And you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. Well, maybe if you can still afford your health care, thanks to the Affordable Care Act. It literally quadrupled in our household every month. The cost quadrupled.
I have no problem with folks saying Obama cares. I do care.
That's not what anybody said. Once again, it's Obamacare. It's a mock. And I have no problem with people saying Obamacare. Nobody said Obama cares. You obviously don't care about humanity. you're a racist, an anti-American, anti-capitalist, mentored by a communist. Your family lineage is nothing to write home about. Aren't you people amazing? Speaking of Democrats and all the ridiculous lies they tell, it turns out that in Minneapolis, the Democrats were running a jihadi for the mayor's office, just like in New York and elsewhere, and it turns out that it's Somali, the guy from Captain Phillips, right? That they're running for mayor there. The pirate hijacking the Tom Hanks ship in Captain Phillips, and the guy who was already mayor was Jacob Fry. And he ended up winning in a squeaker. It was a real squeaker. And now Jacob Fry will continue to be the mayor of Somalia, of Minneapolis. But, the Democrats have they're creating no-go zones in the United States like the Muslims have in France, where the police can't go there, the fire department can't go there, the ambulances can't go there, you can't go there, your daughter can't go there, your son can't go there. There are no-go zones. And the left, they think that makes them open-minded to demolish Western civilization. But never mind that. Now, the still mayor of Minneapolis, Minnesota, not exactly Mary Tyler Moreland anymore, is named Jacob Fry, and he held a victory gathering, and it looked like Mogadishu, because the Democrats have turned Mary Tyler Moreland into, the Mogadishu Mile. It's Black Hawk Down every day in Minneapolis. And he's a white liberal from Minnesota, Jacob Fry, and he ended up squeaking out a victory in Minnesota to remain and continue to be the mayor of Minneapolis. He was holding his victory rally, and honestly, it looked like Black Hawk Down after all the shooting stopped.
Assalamu alaikum.
That's him. Assalamu alaikum.
accent. Maaga yega wa Yarub Farid. Boca Magala, Minneapolis. Go Laba Sata.
Go Laba Sata.
Afasham. Maaga yegawa Yarub Farid. Doka Magalada, Minneapolis.
Yeah, that's boy, oh boy. I got to tell you, it's terrible. It's horrible. This Jacob Fry was actually born and raised in Arlington County, Virginia. But he's speaking Somali to the Somalis, which is very inviting and open-minded. And the Democrat Party is turning our country into a third world beep hole. Somalia is not a country that any other country emulates. It's not a country, Somalia, that people say in Sweden, you know what we really need here? More Somalis. If only Sweden were more like Somalia, then Sweden would be a better place. And again, he's speaking in the Somali native tongue to Somalis who, if there were a ship there to hijack, if there were a Black Hawk to shoot down, it'd be a very dangerous place. Jacob Fry, he's a Democrat.
Whether you are from Bosaso or Mogadishu, whether you're from Hargeisa or Galkayo.
How about St. Paul?
Whether you are from Getaway. Or Southwest.
It's all a ghetto.
Minneapolis is a place where you come to seek prosperity, where you come to raise your family.
They all want to get away. I'm telling you, Jacob Fry, he's the Democrat. Boy, oh boy. The big wireless companies have been pulling one over on all of us. And that is one good reason that it's time to make the switch to consumer cellular. Listen, I did. I'm getting the same fast, reliable, nationwide, big wireless cell phone coverage without the big wireless cost every month. And it's maybe not just about saving money every month on the bill, although that's real good. It's also about not being used and abused and taken for granted by the big cell phone carriers that you pay money to every month as your bills go up and up and up. Do you have any idea how much data you use every month? Probably not. Most people over the age of 50 use less than 8 gigs of data in any given month. But the big wireless companies, they shove everybody into an unlimited plan because they need to redistribute the payments from your bills to cover the cost of 19-year-olds that use 10 times as much data as you do. And if you're not using all that data, then you are the one being used and abused. When you've had enough of that, it's time to go with Consumer Cellular. Listen, they set me up the service on a phone. It's really easy to make the switch. You make a phone call. You speak to an actual human being, not a robot or a touchpad. That person is based right here in the United States, not on a space platform speaking some alien tongue. Real human beings are actually helpful, and it only takes about 20 minutes to make the change. So give them a call today and make the switch. Call 800-760-0702. 800-760-0702. Yeah. I'm telling you. Oh, yeah, Chicago. The mayor's out there defending illegal aliens fleeing the police because the police are the bad guys and the illegal alien gang members fleeing the police are the heroes.
We are 5 days away from fundamentally transforming the United States of America.
All right, let's go back to the telephones, Michael, and I have more lunacy, illegal alien arrests, and the Democrats love crime coming up. Let's see. Let us go to the telephones, and let's go to Kathy, calling from McLean, Virginia. Kathy, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Yes, hey, Chris. Thank you so much. I have a bit of a cold because I was outside working at the polls all day Tuesday and other places earlier. I mean, the crazy thing is this early voting, but my point is that with Abby Spanberger and Hashmi and Ghazala Hashmi and Jay Jones, Jay Jones now, he can kill babies more easily.
And it's much more convenient for him now that he's the chief law enforcement officer. That's true. And he wants his rivals' children to be killed in the arms of their mothers. And then the Democrats all voted for him.
Yeah, the biggest losers, unfortunately, sadly, because the Virginia State Legislature is about to go for abortion on demand. Abby Spanberger supported that. And abortion up until the moment of birth.
Right.
Well, Jay Jones believes in killing after birth.
Yeah, all the time. Well, you wouldn't want to, put any restrictive lines in there. The Democrat Party, it's the old Al-Qaeda slogan that I've talked about before, Kathy. Al-Qaeda used to say, "We love death more than you love life." Well, the Democrats have stolen that one, too. To say music was so much cooler. The stuff that's being cranked out now just doesn't come close to Curtis Mayfield and Led Zeppelin and the Rolling Stones. And so much cooler. That's why when you go into college bars, they're playing 50-year-old music on the speakers. All right, let's go. I want to go to Britain for a minute. Let's go to Britain for just a minute. There is a story that's making the rounds. It's kind of a remarkable story, and it's perfectly typical of people on the left who are gender dysphoric in every imaginable way. The BBC has an anchor woman, a journalist anchor woman, Martine Croxall. Martine Croxall, M-A-R-T-I-N-E is her first name, last name is Croxall, Croxall. I'm going with Croxall. And here's the headline. BBC claims anchor broke guidelines by replacing, quote, pregnant people, quote, end quote, with the word women. That's a begins. They put a quotation mark before women and after women. In viral video, man, oh man. And the headlines are everywhere. BBC rules anchor who swapped pregnant people for women in viral moment showed bias. Yeah, she did, for sanity. She showed a bias in favor of culture, biology, science, sanity. The BBC has ruled that one of its most recognizable anchors breached impartiality standards after she changed the scripted term pregnant people to the word women while live on the air, a moment that went viral and was cheered online by gender-critical activists, including Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling. Now, I love the terminology from the communists here at the Mediaite. By gender-critical activists, they're not gender-critical. They're not being critical. They're critical of your mental illnesses, perhaps, but they're not gender-critical. They're critical of insanity, of mental illness being mainstreamed by people like you. The British Broadcasters Executive Complaints Unit, which they call the ECU, because they have to abbreviate everything. The Executive Complaints Unit found that their anchor woman, Martine Croxall's, facial expression and audible hesitation amounted to an implicit stance in the ongoing battle about trans language. This is a mental illness epidemic. And the left is mentally ill, every filthy one of them, and they're gender dysphoric. And the Democrats put a Supreme Court justice on the U.S. Supreme Court who's a grown woman who doesn't know what a woman is and doesn't know what the word means. She should be kicked off of the court. We shouldn't pack the court. We should unpack the court and get rid of her and Sonia Sotomayor as well, because they're mental dwarves. Dwarves, I tell you, little people. Little like that, like the Munchkins in The Wizard of Oz. That's intellectually speaking. So wait a minute. Her facial expression and her audible hesitation amounted to an implicit stance in the ongoing battle about trans language and categories. The ECU, the Executive Complaints Unit, concluded she appeared to express, quote, a controversial view about trans people. You mean that women have babies? That women get pregnant? That's the controversial view about trans people. The normal, so I've been talking about this for years, since my earliest days of radio, that the left is here to make the abnormal seem normal while simultaneously making the normal seem abnormal. And this is just one of many, many examples. Now, we have the audio for you of the nice lady who's in big trouble with her employer, the BBC, because while she was anchoring a story on the air, on television, on the British Broadcasting Corporation in the United Kingdom, she, in the copy, the prompter copy, it had this ridiculous left-wing language, and she saw it when she saw pregnant people. She thought for a moment, you could see her face kind of contort for a moment. She said, wait a minute, you mean women? So here is the nice anchor lady, Martine Croxall, reading the teleprompter when she realized that some ridiculous mentally ill people put the words pregnant people in the copy, and she corrected them. And then for being correct, for being right, for being scientifically and biologically sane and sound, she is being punished and publicly vilified by the usual characters. Here is Martine Croxall.
London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine has released research which says that nearly 600 heat-related deaths are expected in the UK. Malcolm Mystery, who is involved in the research, says that the aged, pregnant people, women, and those with pre-existing health conditions need to take precautions.
That's it. And there was an uprising from people in Great Britain, and probably some Americans joined in who are mentally ill as well, because then the Executive Complaints Unit, the ECU, They got involved, and now Martine Croxall's in big trouble. She might lose her job. And the broadcast was months ago, and she's still, the ramifications are still reverberating in her life. The June broadcast months ago, Croxall introduced a segment on the dangers posed by a heat wave. She read off the teleprompter before correcting the line. Malcolm Mystery, who was involved in the research, says that the aged, pregnant people, women, and those with pre-existing health conditions need to take precautions. So when she saw the words pregnant people, she decided correctly that that is a ridiculous abuse of the English language. She corrected that ridiculous abuse of the English language. And now American media, like these left-wing communists at Mediaite, are joining in on the attack on her. Isn't that amazing? No, formal punishment was recorded at the time in June when this happened. The decision lands after the Telegraph reported a leaked internal memo in which a BBC advisor claimed coverage of transgender subjects had been subject to effective censorship by specialist LGBT reporters who declined to report stories critical of their positions. You're fired. This is not about your personal opinion. You're a reporter. You're supposed to be reporting on the news of the day. And if your personal dementia is such a problem that you can't report the news straight, little pun intended, I think, just amazing. The ECU noted the script Croxall was handed was somewhat clumsy, but concluded that giving the strong impression of expressing a personal view on a controversial matter, even if inadvertent, falls short of BBC's expectations of its presenters and journalists in relation to impartiality. The ECU upheld the complaints. That's right, they got a lot of complaints from mentally ill people. And then the executive complaints unit of the BBC, taxpayer-funded, of course, state-run media, it should really be in Islam. It should be in Arabic, shouldn't it? It should all be in Arabic. The entire broadcast, just amazing. That's right. The aged, pregnant people, these are the people that might suffer from the heat wave thing. Just demented. Absolutely mental. Our Democrat Party and lefty self-described liberals around the world are all mentally ill. Just extraordinary. Speaking of, let's go to number 13 because more mentally ill left-wing people. This is at the Zohran Mamdani Victory Party. And the Victory Party, I think I texted it this morning on our text thread, isn't that right? But at the Victory Party for Zohran Mamdani, there were liberals, lefties, who pretend to be journalists. One named Jennifer Welch, who is a lefty and a podcaster. Everybody's got a podcast, right? But this podcaster, Jennifer Welch, was there at the Zohran Mamdani Victory Party with Mehdi Hasan. Mehdi Hasan, who is a virulent, genocidal anti-Semite and an award-winning journalist in the United States of America, because you know how these people are. Just extraordinary things. But at the Mamdani Victory Party, the left-wing podcaster Jennifer Welch talking to Mehdi Hasan, and this is kind of remarkable because they're racists. They attack white people, naturally, and everybody's bad except them because of their many, many mental issues. But here's some audio, and it's a little hard to hear. The Mehdi Hasan and Jennifer Welch, as they're talking about, she's white. He's a jihadi, Mehdi Hasan, but she's as white as any white, privileged, white liberal woman you're going to find in any white liberal enclave. But the white people, and we had to clean up the cursing and stuff because always, but white, and she's white, a self-loathing white person, Jennifer Welsh. And here she is going off on how awful and terrible white people are at the racist, anti-Semite, jihadi victory party for Mamdani.
If it was all white people here right now, it would be boring. I've grown up in those circles. Everybody needs some spice and some color in their lives. Life's a lot better. That's the coolest thing about America. Americans have no culture except for multiculturalism.
Well said.
And we need to teach people how to embrace that. These crusty white people need to learn how to embrace it.
Americans have no culture is one of the things that she said. And those awful, terrible white people, left-wing podcaster Jennifer Welsh, a big party for Zohran Mamdani, and I'm surprised that this didn't self-immolate. She's talking about crusty old white people, and how America has no culture. There is no American culture, and that's why we need to embrace, they love that word, embrace. The only thing it embraces is to squeeze the life out of it. The American culture is non-existent. What there is terrible. Left-wing podcaster uses Mamdani win to push re-education of crusty white people to embrace multiculturalism. Aren't they great? Said that white conservatives, like the ones she grew up with, I doubt it, are freaking out across the country. Well, we've noticed that the Democrat Party is dangerous, violent, mentally ill, racist, anti-American, anti-capitalist, pro-communist, pro-jihad, and they're growing a civil war in the United States of America is actually what's happening with the left. Left-wing podcast host Jennifer Welsh expressing her joy at the election of New York City Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani, saying it was a sign of the turning political tide against white conservatives that she allegedly grew up with but didn't. Welch has made headlines for her far-left rhetoric, such as laughing when seeing an activist celebrating Charlie Kirk's assassination and arguing that the Democrat Party should cater to such voters who laugh at the assassination for political reasons of normal people. She also has repeatedly voiced contempt for the conservative white Christians living in the United States of America that she claims to have grown up with. She's a very serious mental case. On Tuesday night, she was asked by former MS-13 LSD host Mehdi Hasan, who's a communist and a jihadi and a racist and an anti-Semite, about growing up around country club Republicans in Oklahoma. She should not be allowed back into the state of Oklahoma if she's really from there. What is their reaction tonight to this brown dude from Africa becoming mayor of the Big Apple? Mehdi Hasan, the jihadi, wanted to know. It's their worst nightmare. Now, they just won't go to New York, and, New York will become Escape from New York. Snake Plissken will be the next mayor of New York. And journalist and frequent MSNBC guest Anand Giridharadas laughed at her comment. They're freaking out, white country club Republicans, when they see educated brown-skinned people like you all and like Zohran. It is a threat to their privileged position that they hold. I got to tell you. And they see it as un-American. Well, we see un-American things as being un-American. And they see it as an attack on their way of life. And then, white, as she said, if it was all white people here right now, it would be boring as beep. It would be intelligent and not cancerous like you and your psychotic friends. It would be normal. It would be healthy. I've grown up in those circles, Welch said. Everybody needs some spice and color in their lives. It's the United States of America. I don't know if you've visited here. Life's a lot better. And that's the coolest thing about America. Americans have no culture except for multiculturalism. Well said, Mehdi Hasan uttered. Isn't that amazing? This, oh gosh, look at the clock again. This reminds me of friends of mine. A nice woman with a 16-year-old daughter was about a mile, less than 2 miles from this radio station. in their car, and on their car they have a Trump sticker on their car, and a Democrat in his car pulled up behind their car. They had gone into the CVS or something to get a Diet Coke, and when they came out, this man, and here's a woman and a mother of a teenage girl, and the teenage girl, and they came out to their car, and this grown man, a white man, a liberal, who has Black Lives Matter, a white liberal, Black Lives Matter bumper sticker on his car, and a Gavin Newsom 2028 sticker on the back of his car. And he blocked them in and then flipped off the 16-year-old girl, rolled down his electric window in his expensive car, thanks to the patriarchy and America, and yelled, "You have no idea how privileged you are." How privileged you are, right? And the women, mom had to get out of the car and walk back as if to say, are you going to let us out of our parking space? And he refused, and he sat there. She was able to angle her car, squeeze by. He then pulled his car around and tried to block her from getting out of the parking lot. And then the mother and 16-year-old daughter with Mr. Black Lives Matter and Gavin Newsom 2028, he then followed the women when they left the parking lot, menacing and threatening them in his, I think his car is an Audi, and he tried, and he followed them for miles. He followed them for a couple. Mom decided, I'm not actually driving home. I'm not driving home with this psychopath following me with his Black Lives Matter bumper sticker, white liberal, and his Gavin Newsom 2028 sticker. And he's flipping off and barking at a 16-year-old girl. You have no idea how privileged you are. And mom and the daughter had to get pictures of the creep's car and find a different route and keep turning until he stopped following them, stalking them. And then when Dad was informed, went to the police, and the police shrugged and said, Montgomery County Police, Maryland. And then they said, well, there's really nothing we can do until he kills everybody, and then maybe we'll do something. Because this is what the Democrats are doing to the United States of America. Hey, well, I need to correct something because I said that the creepy stalker was driving an Audi. I'm wrong. It was a Volvo. It's a Volvo. That's it. Hey, and Kendrick Lamar is leading the hunt for Grammy Awards this year. I couldn't possibly play any of his music here because it's all obscene and racist.